हमारे वीडियोस देखने के लिए सर्च कीजिए द सोशल ट्रिगर, इसे सब्सक्राइब करें और बेल आइकन भी जरूर दबाएं। The vaccine prince may or may not return to India for a very long time. And when we need the medical supplies, it seems the people responsible for running the entire nation has a lot to consider in their priority list. But least important is the deadly virus, and especially when we are talking about the third wave and even maybe the upcoming waves as well. Hello and welcome to the Social Trigger Talks with me, Shivam Bajaj. Let's begin. India had topped the vaccination contribution list to the entire world with more than 66 million doses. But before the second wave of the virus even got deadlier in India itself. Presently, India is receiving help from more than 40 countries to fight this deadly pandemic. But what really is causing the second wave to deadly? We will talk about this shortly in this video. First, let's discuss about the Serum Institute of India or the vaccine prince Adarpoonawala. The prince had left the country citing threats to him and his family, which is very unfortunate. No one aims to justify those threats, but the question remains, why were such heavy commitments made from the SII when later they could not be fulfilled? Let's first discuss about some insights. India had placed its first order for 10 million doses with SII for a sum of 1500 crores. After which, a production grant was given to the SII worth 3000 crores, after which SII received its second order worth 11 million doses and was paid 1700 crores or even more fully in advance. Few days later, Adar even confirmed that there could be a vaccine shortage for almost 2 to 3 months in India. Adar was given a Y plus security on 29th April and now his lawyer is citing for a Z plus security or is asking for a Z plus security post his interview to an international media where he confirmed about the threats to him and his family. The same Adar had even called his move philanthropic after decreasing the price of merely 100 rupees for Covishield, which should be done as a responsibility first and profit-making margins later. Vaccine terrorism is getting deeper and deeper, leading to the major crisis throughout the world and not just India. Today, most developed countries have as many vaccines that they can vaccinate its citizens 3 to 5 times on an average. Let's talk some numbers again. First, let's discuss how much profit have these companies made from the COVID-19 period. Let's talk about some major vaccine manufacturers: Moderna, Pfizer, AstraZeneca, SII. Moderna is reported to have 18 to 20 billion dollars worth profit in 2021 just because of COVID-19. And remember, this is just 2021. Pfizer aims to have 15 to 30 billion dollar profit. AstraZeneca aims to have 2 to 3 billion dollars of profit. And imagine, I'm citing these profit numbers for only a quarter and some also in a year. The profits are never terrorism in any economy. But what really concerning the situation is that rich countries are securing 53% of the best vaccines available. Throughout the world, rich countries with more than 14% of the entire global population is receiving 53% of the best vaccines available and have already hoarded them. Moderna and Pfizer's preference to only the rich countries is getting this vaccine crisis even more deeper, as the poorer countries are not even getting a single dose. I'll tell you later. Do you know, reports even suggest that 9 out of 10 people in the poorer countries are not even getting vaccinated. United States and Canada. United States have so much vaccines that it can vaccinate its citizens 3 times and Canada 5 times. Actually, who is responsible for all this ruckus over vaccines in the entire world? Actually, many, not just one. Let me explain this to you. It's the maker's responsibility over production. It's the governments and states over procurement, and not to be forgotten about the vaccine politics happening in this country. Not here, but majorly in this country. These are the major reasons because of which the vaccines are getting delayed, and of course the blame game is being played on a regular basis, which is also getting tougher amidst the vaccine terrorism and or the preference over rich versus poor countries of this Moderna versus Pfizer or even other vaccine manufacturers. Now let's talk about oxygen after vaccines. Why is India facing a lot amount of shortage when we are producing so much amount of medical grade oxygen on a daily basis? In fact, the present government has also announced that all the companies manufacturing steel needs to provide or needs to manufacture medical grade oxygen, and they are doing that. But the problem is, why is India facing a shortage? The answer to this is definitely not because of manufacturing, but the only reason remains is transportation. Most of the purest form of medical grade oxygen is being manufactured from Jharkhand and neighboring states. So the biggest problem is definitely not manufacturing. I hope now you get the answer. The oxygen is highly flammable substance, so it cannot be transported by air. By road remains the only choice. So to ease the transportation remains the only option with the government. Even the corridors made for oxygen, the special corridors made for oxygen, takes a lot amount of time to transport only few oxygen tankers or sometimes only one. Now let me answer some basic questions that you might be thinking about oxygen concentrators, availability, etc. An average man inhales and exhales around 7 to 8 liters per minute, which is 11,000 liters per day, in which inhaled air has around 21% oxygen, exhaled air has around 15% oxygen. Now this COVID-19 reduces the capacity of lungs to absorb this natural oxygen present. So here comes a problem and a need for medical grade oxygen, which is to be given to the patient immediately. While some patients need 1 to 2 liters per minute or even 60 liters per minute, doctors say that this can even lead to 86,000 liters per day per patient. Doctors say that they are enough only when a patient requires 2 to 3 liters of oxygen per minute. The moment 2 to 3 liters per minute oxygen requirement crosses, the patient needs to be admitted into an hospital for a medical care, for an external medical care. Remember earlier in the video we had talked about why is this second wave even getting deadlier here in India? The answer to this question is definitely foreign strains and definitely an increase in demand and supply factors of the medical supplies available. But the only reason which is even more deadlier, which is making this even more deadlier, is the politics over vaccine and oxygen supplies. And also, not to be forgotten, the black marketing and hoarding practices of people. One of the main reasons also remain is not following the COVID appropriate behavior. Now, what is even more important is post-pandemic, we need to spend at least double the amount in healthcare which we are spending right now, and should be around 6 to 7% of the GDP. This is the major thing which we can learn from this pandemic, to spend around 6.7% of our GDP and not to make deductions in our basic health budget, which is a major blunder committed by any government or anyone responsible for running a country. Thank you. Keep watching The Social Trigger.